There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMBD for the new Snow White. And it couldn't happen to a better person.
She doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
You know, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it. You didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White.
Right.
You should shut up and do the job.
Controversy around the film began ever since we learned that there would be no Prince Charming because apparently he kissed her without consent, and also no woman needs a man to rescue her. The movie also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs rather than actors because they thought using real people would be offensive.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim. And that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
But Rachel Ziegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed. She's unhappy. The reality is she's just not stable. Like the majority of people in Hollywood, they're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarf.
Rachel Ziegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
You know the say, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing live action Disney adaptation ever.
Do you know how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sing? It's not hard. Who just isn't going to offend half the country. Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop after all?
I seriously didn't realize stuff got this bad for that Rachel Ziegler Snow White film, but I'm seeing this now and I'm concerned for Rachel Ziegler's prospects. I cannot see how she bounces back from all this. Vacant theaters are everywhere in this country. We're at a 1 out of 10 on IMBD for Snow White, and it might have happened to a better person. It doesn't require a prince to save her and isn't flanked by 7 odd folks, just CGI goblins. Each time she speaks, she becomes less liked. She's now boasting about Snow White, which is set to drop hundreds of millions of dollars, mainly because of her and because nobody wanted to back her.
Because once more, look at this right here. This movie has crashed in the 2nd week that it's been out. 70% this movie crashed.
Zoom in right there, that's it. 163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.6 out of 10.
Issues around the film started when we heard there would be no Prince Charming. Evidently, he kissed her without permission, and no woman requires a man to save her. The production also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs instead of real performers. She apparently doesn't love her own role, so she comes off as a tiresome brat. Rachel Ziegler is extremely woke in a way that's unhinged. If she hadn't spoken, the film might have coasted on hopium in previews, then dipped once people realized it was trash. I doubt they'll pay for it, or watch it. Rachel Ziegler made it so disliked, sabotaging and costing hundreds of millions in potential ticket sales. I don't see how anyone would want to work with her again. Rachel is literally the star of a Disney film, yet acts like she's a victim, which just corrupts people's minds. She behaves as if her life is terrible. We had more dwarfs than watchers in theaters, though the dwarfs were just CGI. Disney's losing money on this, and I hear it made under $1 million in China.
I remember back in 2023 when this was going on and all the little people making videos saying, well, wait, there's so few roles for us in Hollywood. We're being passed over for this. You could have cast seven little
Peter
people.
Dinklage.
Right, went over about $250 million. They had the whole dwarf midget issue where they decided they weren't going to have any midget actors, right? They were having DEI-inspired magical creatures to replace.
Do you know how hard it is to find an attractive young actress in Hollywood who can act in Sin Sin? It's not difficult. Someone who won't offend half the nation. This is some of the worst casting in the industry. Disney's Bober says their aim is to amuse, not push statements, as Snow White Income competes for the worst performing live-action adaptation. Something seems off about Rachel. She's troubled and unhappy. I'd advise people to skip this film, no matter how much their kids love Snow White. Don't alienate half the country. Michael Jordan famously said Republicans buy sneakers too. They spent $170 million on this and had under $50 million in opening weekend gross, Disney's lowest for these live-action remakes. Some fans wanted actual dwarf actors, but the studio went with CGI magical creatures instead.
One of the 18 hours I am in this Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop? If you disagree, they say they don't need your money. Maybe Disney does. Why insult people when you didn't write or direct the film? Do your job and hush. Welcome back to Celebrap. We have big news. Local store managers pulled all Snow White merchandise off shelves for good reason.
I mean, look at this right here. Snow White crashes 70% in second weekend box office.
Her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern-day America must make that choice.
The House of Mouse thought it was a genius move to modernize a classic fairy tale by blasting everything people love about it. Guess who's in the middle of the uproar? Rachel Ziggler, the self-declared it star of Hollywood, who seems to think Disney exists to pay her hourly dress fee. She wants to be paid for every hour she wears the Snow White dress. She claims she was underpaid as a Disney lead. This entire saga is juicier than a reality show reunion special.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I'll be nothing without your support. Now, back to the tea. People noticed Disney's questionable choices for a while, but this time they went further. They poured a colossal budget down the drain. Faster than you can say, once upon a time. Let's rewind. The original Snow White, 1937, wasn't just another animated film. It was the one that built Walt Disney's golden empire. Adapting it is like messing with grandma's recipe. Do it wrong. You'll hear about it for generations.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs, you know?
Stop cannibalizing your old IP. Also, stop altering historic plots that hold meaning for generations and turning them into bland woke stories about women who need no man, leading some revolutionary uprising. Apparently, that didn't deter Disney. They greenlit a version test audiences described as random TikTok trends disguised as a movie. The reaction was savage, but they doubled down, putting more money into PR spin. Some insiders say Disney believed the brand was untouchable. Clearly not. Fans spotted the weak points and pounced. Snow White 2025 is expected to be among Disney's biggest financial flops. Early viewers left empty theaters, looking confused or annoyed. On IMDb, the rating sank to 1.6 out of 10. It's as if the internet decided to dunk on it collectively. People said the direction is so baffling that even social media cynics can't defend it. The jokes and memes about progressive dwarfs who ghosted the film, or about how the plot resembles a bizarre school play, are endless. The project went over $250 million, plus marketing. There was also the dwarf drama, where they decided not to hire any actors and use DEI-inspired magical creatures. Back in 2023, dwarf actors were protesting that they get few enough roles. Already, people are furious about every detail, from the storyline to the lighting. Some watchers say it's like an over-caffeinated editor spliced together 3 half-finished scripts. One moment Snow White sings a modern pop anthem, the next, we see a dystopian set that doesn't fit. Gone is the whimsical prince from the original. Instead, we get an awkward empowerment subplot shoehorned in. The heroine can't be in love or be saved by a man. She's focused on becoming a leader, as though women must either fight or find romance, not both. Critics say it's heavy-handed, moralizing that stops the narrative cold. The final dance scene has everyone in all-white outfits, looking like they wandered off a cult documentary set. People left saying, "That's 30 seconds of my life I won't get back." Rachel Ziggler, queen of controversies, stands at the center. She called the original story outdated and the prince a stalker. She demanded she be paid for every hour in the Snow White dress, and it rubbed fans the wrong way. Complaining about big money in front of people who have real problems never lands well. One critic asked why she took the role if she hates it so much. Her social media turned into a war zone, with fans who praised her boldness and others she dismissed as dinosaurs. Some think the backlash is coordinated, but many see her as her own worst enemy. Meanwhile, Disney's marketing team is quietly weeping. Snow White blasts political overtones with no subtlety. Critics call it a lecture first, entertainment second. Disney claims they're celebrating Snow White's courage, but it's more like a fire hose of disclaimers about social justice. Both left, and right seem unimpressed. In official statements, they said they're focusing on timeless bravery, but we recall no scene in the 1937 version where Snow White stops mid-song to scold the audience for not being more enlightened. Rumors swirl that Disney's corporate office is in meltdown mode. Bober says their aim is to entertain, not send a message, as Snow White competes for worst performing live-action Disney film. Some store employees call the merch toxic inventory, and finances look grim. The production budget soared beyond $250 million, not counting marketing. With sales in freefall, investors are furious. Insiders say some execs might be polishing their resumes. Morale is low, and folks call the project snow wrong. Industry watchers are seeing how not to handle a legacy property. If this crown jewel can flop, other remakes could too. It's not just about Snow White. This fiasco fuels a broader debate on Hollywood's endless parade of reboots. People are realizing no CGI can hide a weak script or an actress who scorns the source material. Studios might want to be more careful when reimagining classics. What's the moral here? Don't wreck a timeless fairy tale for social media clout. If you're Rachel Ziggler, maybe don't insult the original fanbase you want to buy tickets. They're not interested, literally or figuratively. This fiasco is a cautionary tale, with hints of re-edits, hush-hush marketing changes, and possible legal threats. But the damage is done, Disney stumbled, and the internet is having a blast. Deleted scenes might surface, and lawsuits might happen if blame gets tossed around too freely. It's a tale as old as time. Big studio underestimates the power of the audience. Star says too much, meltdown ensues. If you want more updates, subscribe, because at this rate, new drama could pop up any second. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, not every fairy tale ends happily, especially when egos, misguided scripts, and denial collide. If Disney wants to fix it, they'll need more than a magic mirror. They'll need a reality check. Smash that like button and sound off in the comments. The next twist could be weirder than that all-white final dance number. Let's see whether Disney's corporate sorcerers can conjure a miracle, or if this fiasco is doomed to live in infamy. Until next time, stay tuned, stay safe, and stay informed, only on Celebrap.